Hi, everybody. Welcome to Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. It's episode 202.
How about that?
202. I have JF here. I decided to ask JF to come on again because he was so much fun to have on last week.
Really?
You were just on Thursday. I can't believe I had you on this. I'm like so nice to you. I've had you on. Sure, if you want to come on, just kidding.
Let's face it, I'm your bench.
You're my bench?
Uh-huh.
What does that mean?
I'm your bench.
What does that mean?
That's the bench is who you go to when you need somebody to come out and participate.
Oh, so like in baseball, they go to the bench and
Exactly.
they bring out a pitcher. Or,
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So I get that. So here we are on episode 202.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a guest for Thursday, which is exciting.
Nice.
It's not me or you.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So not to digress, here we are, and it is Tuesday. It is September 15th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We're here feeling like another day of COVID.
I guess. I didn't really think about it that much. I was more focused on work.
He works. I do this. I help my fellow alcoholics out there in the world. That's what I do each day and talk to people all day long. And JF sits in the back and works.
Mm-hmm.
But so my dear friend Shelly, I've been going to her these last 2 weeks and said, what should we talk about? What would you like to hear? Because she listens when she's working out or she's cleaning up her house, whatever. And she's like, I would like to know about slow recovery and fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why this just came to my mind, but it came to my mind that when I got sober originally 14 years ago plus, I went to a 12-step room, and 12-step rooms around the country or around the world, actually, they have this thing. They have this, what do you call it? It's not a poster. It's a banner. It's a banner, and it has these 12 steps on it. And I was really excited because I was like, I am ready to get sober. And now we have different stories, so it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say about this. But for those of you who don't remember or haven't heard or whatever, or if you have heard, sorry, you have to hear it again. You know, I came into AA because I wanted to. I did not go to rehab. I did not have, I wasn't asked to go by the police. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I knew that I was a social person and that I needed to get friends that didn't drink, especially for the beginning. I was like, I need to have friends that don't drink. Where am I going to find friends that don't drink? Because the friends I'm hanging out with these days, they all drink. They drink like I drink. Mm-hmm. So I definitely can't hang out with those people for a little bit. I have to go find some peeps that don't drink and hang out with them. And so I go to the room, I see the banner with the 12 steps on it. And I'm like, I can do this. I can do those 12 steps and I can do it and I can be done. I got finished and I'm going to graduate summa cum laude and I got my piece of paper and it says I'm good to go. I can go on the journey for the rest of my life and not have to do this. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is going to be awesome.
How long do you think it would take?
I don't know. I thought, well, I could do those 12 steps in what? I mean, I said, well, I'll do it a year and then I'll see, you know. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to drink it all, but I didn't know like the whole like going for the rest of your life or all that stuff. I just was doing it like, all right, I'm going to do those 12 steps because that's what you're supposed to do. So they said, you got to get a sponsor. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do that. Check. I'm going to do these 12 steps and then I'll be done with that. Check. Mm-hmm. And then I can go on my merry way. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen so much for me.
That's funny because I got at one point early on, I got this book called The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions.
Yeah.
So I sat down, I read the 12 steps. It took me, I don't know, hour and a half maybe to read the whole thing. I was like, okay, that's done.
He's really quick reader. So you bought the book?
Yeah.
When did you buy the book?
I don't know, sometime in 1998 or 1999.
Did you buy it before because we had a different journey into the 12s, like where you, like mm-hmm. I went because I know I needed help, as I mentioned earlier, and I knew I needed friends.
I'd been in the program for about probably you know,
But why'd you go to the
4 months.
program?
Why did I go to the program?
Yeah.
Because I was directed to it.
Someone asked you to go.
Yeah, so I was directed to go to the program.
So you wouldn't get in trouble with the law.
So well, that's what I thought. But no, they actually directed me to go there because they said that's where you go if you want to get sober.
But you didn't want to get sober. You were like, you had just gotten in a car accident and you were like.
You're right. And it wasn't really that I didn't want to. The thought of being sober never occurred to me. I didn't believe anybody was sober.
So the fact is that you saw this,
I didn't believe that I just didn't believe that anybody didn't drink.
Right.
Because I didn't think drinking was the problem. I thought control was the problem. You see. So to quote our literature, the great obsession of every abnormal drinker is that he can control and enjoy his drinking.
So had you ever met anybody that was sober before that day?
I had met people that were in AA.
But what did you think of them?
I mean, the one person I knew well that was in the program was a lot of fun. I liked him a lot. He had great stories. It was very fun.
But you didn't think it was weird?
All his, well, I felt bad for him because all his great stories were all from when he was drinking. And, you know, and when I knew him, he wasn't. Although I just figured, okay, well, that's just, you know, like I didn't really believe that he wasn't really drinking. I just believed that he wasn't really drinking enough to get drunk. And so therefore nobody could tell.
Oh, he was managing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Turns out I was wrong. When he died, he was sober for like 40 some years.
Okay. So, and back to, so did you think, so when you bought that 12, somebody said buy this 12 steps. So you didn't get a sponsor do that right away. You didn't hear them saying like, maybe you should get a sponsor or anything.
No, I had a guy that was my sponsor.
From the beginning.
And well, I got him like,
it was your best friend, right?
No, within that was this guy, Pete. Within a month or so. Yeah, like like 6 weeks, I guess. I was in about 6 weeks. And then he became my sponsor. And he became my sponsor because he could pick me up at the train station.
Because you couldn't drive.
Right.
I was just talking to somebody about this, actually. What was it like to ask somebody that you didn't even know for a ride as a guy and say like, hey, can you give me a ride? And they're going to say yes. I mean, most people are like, well, I got this. I'll get an Uber, right? Well, they didn't have Ubers.
They didn't have Ubers back then. And it didn't really happen that way. He was kind of like, you know, I could pick you up at the train station. Because, you know, he knew I worked in Philadelphia. He worked in Villanova. So he was like, take the train to Villanova and I can give you a ride home. So I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. So I did that. And then there was other people at the meeting that I met in various different meetings that said, you know, I'm going to this meeting tomorrow night. I'll pick you up.
Okay, so you had rides. And then was it fast? Were you off to the races? How long did you realize before? Because we're talking about like a slow recovery.
Well, I'm pretty slow.
You're slow?
It took me 4 months to actually believe that people in AA actually weren't drinking. That's pretty slow.
For 4 months.
Yeah, for 4 months I was, you know,
you were convinced that most people that were there were lying.
I just, it wasn't even like that. I would just like, I just assumed that when they said, you know, sober, what they were really meaning was, you know, controlling and enjoying my drinking, because why else would they be so happy? Right? Like, I really didn't believe that was beyond my wildest. It was truly like when they say beyond your wildest dreams, really simple for me. Beyond my wildest dreams was, you know, was not drinking a day at a time for any substantial amount of time. You know, I could imagine doing it for a day or two, but I didn't even know it was happening to me. That's how crazy I was, you know. So I didn't drink a day at a time, and it was like 4 months had gone by. And when I went to that first meeting, you know, they asked if there was any anniversary to celebrate, and the guy raised his hand, said he had 30 days. And I thought, well, that's just complete crap. There's no way that somebody went 30 days without a drink. And then I realized, oh my God, it happened to me like 120 days. Like, how did that happen? You know, it was crazy. I didn't even know it was happening. So I'm very slow.
Very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to talk about a slow recovery and what it feels like. You know, it's in the beginning, I can say for the first year, you know, I said I wanted to graduate to summa cum laude with the steps, and I wanted to be done with them. And these steps, you can Google AA 12 steps if you want to, but I'm going to talk about the first three because I feel like that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where I believe most of the program happens, at least for every person, is 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 people think is intimidating, 5 intimidating, which takes people out, which I understand. I'm going and talking about what happened in your past and clearing it up. But I think if you do 1, 2, and 3, it prepares you to do 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you really do those thoroughly. But it takes a long time to do 1, 2, and 3. Like number 1, we're just going to talk about 1. Admitted that we are powerless over alcohol. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And our lives have become unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in layman's terms, what that means to me is, okay, I'm powerless. Okay, that means that I have no power, right? The definition of powerless.
Right.
Should I look it up? I'm going to look it up. What's the definition of powerless? So the definition of powerless is, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking this up, and powerless, without ability, influence, or power. An example is troops were powerless to stop last night's shooting. Okay. So that was kind of a depressing powerlessness.
It really is.
Oh my God.
Must be from Portland.
I was like, oh my God, it's terrible. Okay. Definition of the word powerless. Devoid of strength or resources, powerless. Victims lacking the authority or capacity to act, was powerless to help. Other words from powerless, synonyms, and more examples. So, you know, for me, I knew, like, I had to really think about what I was powerless over. Like, I really had to think long and hard. So I had to think of a time. So I can still remember saying I'm only going to have 1 dirty martini, and really believing in my life, believing in my heart, like in my whole heart, that I was only going to have 1.
When you said that, that was the truth.
It was totally the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I go into the bar, and then I have the 1 dirty martini, and it's like, why not have another one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'll have another one. And then I'll have another one, and then I'll have another one, and then I'll have another one. So like the choice there, it's like something mental that I can remember. It's like it calls your name, it wants you. It's just really, you have no control. Like once you have that drink and once you open up the floodgates, it's like, shh. It's like letting out a dam. It's like, I have no choice. I'm like, I've already had 1. I'm kind of feeling a little good already because I'm whatever. 1 I can feel, especially a martini because it's straight up vodka. So I drink that. It goes straight to my head. And it's like, well, why not have another one?
Mm-hmm.
That's powerlessness. Like that inability. But if I did stop, oh God, like just shoot me now. Cause it's just like, if you force me to stop, then all I have is this craving that I want another one. I want another one. I want another one. And then I want to go over to your house and I want to drink your beer, or I want to drink your wine, or I want to drink your this and I want to drink your that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, it's that mental obsession that doesn't stop. So to feel that in your head and your heart is really hard to understand, to have that feeling. And this didn't come overnight, right? No. I didn't feel like this overnight the way I'm describing this. In the beginning, I wouldn't describe it the way I'm doing it today, because it's been a long enough time away from it. And my head has met my heart. Like I know what those feelings mean now. Because mind you, when I came in, I didn't even know what a feeling was. I was seeing a therapist at 3 months, and she's like, "How do you feel?" And I'm like, "Cold or hot?" Like I had no idea. So taking the time to have that feeling meet my heart, meet my head, and go, okay, all right. So I guess that crazy obsession I have is powerlessness.
I guess.
What do you think?
Well, I think that I really didn't know. I knew very little about alcoholism, you know, even though grew up around it and was one myself. I really didn't know much about it. I didn't think I was an alcoholic. I never really thought about it.
What did you think an alcoholic was? If someone were to describe to you, do you even remember 22 years ago how you felt? Like if somebody said, "What's an alcoholic?" What would you think?
I would think that was somebody that, like, believe it or not, like they just couldn't control their drinking.
Did you think it was a hobo?
But it wasn't me.
Was it a hobo?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But and my problem was, that's the denial of it, because every once in a blue moon, I'd go out and have like 2 drinks and I go home.
Okay.
And so if the thought of having a problem never occurred, I'd always go back to that and say, well, see, that wasn't a problem. I mean, I was fine. So, I'm okay. And I was very confused by the whole thing, because I really thought that my problem was I just wasn't doing it right, because I'd black out, and, there were just constant problems and constant trouble. And so I really just thought I'm not doing it right. I'm just doing something wrong. And I'm going to figure it out. And what I just didn't know. And so it's funny. So that moment where I was able to say, oh, I'm powerless over alcohol. I've told the story many times. I was in the program for 4 months, and I just, I really didn't believe that people were like, they weren't drinking or this or that. I just, none of it made sense to me until I heard this guy say, if you don't drink, you can't get drunk. And, that was my giant spiritual awakening. That was my aha moment, because that's when I realized, like, I had thought all this time my problem was that, I kept getting drunk, and I didn't want to. I just wanted to go out and have fun and have drinks and have a good time and go home and not be in trouble. And but it never worked out that way. And like I said, when I said earlier, I think I was doing something wrong. So I kept trying all these different things. But the only thing I never tried was not drinking. And in that moment, that's when I realized, like, oh my God, he's so right. I have not had a drink. I haven't drank in 4 months. I haven't been drunk the entire time. And I get it. I'm powerless over alcohol. So what I learned for me was that the powerlessness is the physical craving that happens that, for whatever reason, the way my body is, once I have a little bit to drink, my body just craves more and more and more. And the craving's so intense. Now, if you're not an addict or an alcoholic, I don't know if you can relate to it or not, because there might not be anything in your life that's like that. You probably don't smoke, but I think that's the same thing, as you just have a craving for a cigarette if you smoke, and you have to have it. So that's what would happen with me. Like, I would be okay until I had a drink, and then the physical craving would start. And I just had to have more and more and more. There was no off button. That was my problem. There was no off button. Like, other people around me could go out and have 1 or 2 and leave. And I wanted to do that, but I couldn't, just because physically I'm not built that way. So it had nothing to do with willpower. It had nothing to do with mental ability. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just a physical thing in my body. And the only way to not have that physical problem was to be abstinent, which was the only thing I never tried, right? So that's the real, to me, scientifically, that's the powerlessness, is the physical craving that starts once I have that first drink. The mental obsession, which is the other part they talk about, is to me really is part of that thing that kind of falls under unmanageability, because it is so unmanageable, right? I mean, when that's all you think about, like, I'm not going to drink. I am going to drink. I'm just going to have 2. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, just on and on and on. It's just crazy. It's completely crazy. So that's how I feel about it.
I love that. While you were talking, because I already realized we're almost like 20 minutes into our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what I've decided we're going to do? Because everybody knows that I'm campy here at Bizzy.
Wait, don't tell me we're going to go through the 12 steps.
We are one a week, 1 a week for 12 weeks.
How did I guess that? And we did not. She didn't prompt me or tell me anything.
I swear I didn't. I just came through it. He knows his wife pretty well. Because I feel like this warrants a lot of talk. It's I want to talk about. There's 2 things I want to talk about. The powerlessness. Well, you brought up smoking, and I'm just going to admit something to everybody who's listening and whoever follows, Bizzy Living Sober. I started smoking a lot during COVID. I did. I started smoking COVID. It's not something I'm proud of. In fact, I hate it, and it's like a monkey on my back, and I crave it. I go I can go days and days without cigarettes, and I'll go a week maybe and not have cigarettes, and then I break down and I'm like, go get me some cigarettes, and he goes and buys me cigarettes, not willingly, but he just does it, and I can, that phenomenon of craving, it's like I have one, I want more, I want more, I want more, and it's hard. It's hard. That powerlessness is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Powerlessness is hard. I want to talk about one thing that happened to us. So we got married, and for those of you that don't know that, almost 3 years ago, and we went on a honeymoon almost 3 years ago, I guess it was. And if people remember, there was a ballistic missile coming to Hawaii, and we were in Hawaii on our honeymoon, and we were in a parking lot, and there was a ballistic missile heading towards us, and we got
supposedly.
Well, we got, all these phones are going off, and I don't know if anybody's been anywhere where they've heard like 1,000 Amber Alerts going on around you, but it's kind of frightening. So we heard all these Amber Alerts, and it's going beep, 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 and we're like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And we look at the phone, and it's like, ballistic missile is incoming to, I can't remember what it said. I know you have a photo of it on your phone somewhere, but something to that extent, right? Ballistic missile's coming.
It's an incoming ballistic missile. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill.
This is not a drill. So, powerlessness. I wasn't smoking on our honeymoon. Powerlessness. That was powerlessness. This COVID thing is powerlessness. COVID's powerlessness. None of us have power over it, right? I mean, we have power over whether we're going to put our mask on or whether we're going to get ridiculed. I know, especially where we are right now in Philadelphia, it's a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's probably a bigger deal here than it has been anywhere else we've been, I think.
Could be. And
being powerless over this thing that causes all this fear and all this anxiety amongst everybody, it's interesting because it's a way of describing powerlessness. Because if you're out there and you're sitting there listening to us today and you're going, okay, I kind of get what these guys are talking about. I'm trying to make it so layman and easy, because when you come into 12 steps and they're like, and you see that number 1, I'm powerless. My life is unmanageable. Like when we're drinking, I know when I came into that meeting and I was like, I'm done. Like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I've tried to fight with alcohol and it's like Muhammad Ali. I can't do it. I'm powerless over it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm powerless over a ballistic missile coming to my house or not, coming to my honeymoon or not, right? We were powerless over it.
Absolutely.
We had nothing to do. We just texted the kids and said, we love you.
Mm-hmm.
See you guys arrive over the rainbow. Hopefully we'll be over the rainbow. But, I'm powerless over COVID and what's going to happen with COVID. When is it going to be over? What is it going to look like? How much longer is it going to go? Am I going to get it? Is it on my doorknob? Is it on the door? Is it on the knob of the hotel, whatever, restaurant, supermarket, whatever? It's like, there's so many uncertainties and you're powerless over it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Well, that's life in general, honey.
But to be newly sober and to hear these things, it feels like, wait a minute, am I really powerless over it? But like we are. Like those are things you can't feel, you can't touch. And It's kind of like alcohol. Once you drink it, there's it's once you pick up that cigarette, there's something inside of you that just clicks, and the craving becomes so much bigger than your willpower or anything can handle. So you just go off to it and you use it again. So if it's like you take pills, if you drink, if you smoke weed, and you're like, I just want one more hit, or I just want one more pill, or I just want one more shoot. I want one more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be okay. Right?
Yep.
In the end, that's what it is. You're going to be okay.
Well, that's why they used to say this thing, but I never understood it. They'd say 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough. I'm like, what are they talking about? Like 1 isn't too many. And but what they were talking about was that, the craving and the powerlessness over the craving, because 1 is all it takes to get started. And once you start, you're off to the races and there's no stopping. So, it's abstinence. So, and in terms of like what you are talking about in life in general, it's just, you have to absolutely let go of the idea of having a drink. You just have to let it go.
Or picking up a pill.
Whatever it is,
or smoking a cigarette.
It's just, you just have to let it go. Just say it's just not for me. I have to let it go. And that's very apropos to all the other things you're talking about in life, the things that upset us, that scare us, that are seem to be overwhelming, whatever it is, just let it go. I can't fight life. I learned that because I tried. I tried very hard to make it go that way. That's not step 1 that we're talking about, by the way. But and you can't do it. Life goes the way life wants to go, and I am powerless over that. And oh, by the way, I'm fine with that now too.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
And it's getting to that place of willingness and realizing that you've got a problem. It's like getting to that place where you're going, I'm going to surrender. I'm powerless. Okay, I'm going to reach for help. That's my first step. That's the first step, is going, I don't want to do this anymore. And I keep playing these same tapes in my head, and I keep doing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to change. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think I need help that's a great statement.
I need help. And it's really hard to ask for help.
Can be, sure.
It's really hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, gosh, help me.
Mm-hmm.
And letting go and helping. I'm not going to talk about the letting go part, because that's like a whole nother step. That's a whole nother way of going. But
right.
That whole thing of being powerless and taking it slow and steady and going, okay, I want to see what it feels like to be powerless. I'm going to see what it feels like. And I always like to say, like, admitting you're powerless over things takes a little bit of humility.
Well, it takes a lot.
I got him going. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of humility. And someone might be like, what does humility mean? Should we look up the word humility really quick? I'm going to look it up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look it up really quick.
Doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. Humility. It sounds humbling. It's like humility. That's a horrible word. Humility. A modest or low view of one's own importance. Humbleness. He needs the humility to accept that their way may be better.
I like that, because I've said that many times.
Yeah.
For me, that's step 1, is just, I just need to be willing to believe that maybe somebody has a better idea than I do, because I ran my whole life on my ideas.
And that didn't get us anywhere, right? That got us 10 dirty martinis in.
It kept getting me anyway, to this same place. And I was so confused, because I would be like, how do I keep getting here? Like, I don't want to be here. This isn't where I was trying to get to. And I don't understand why I keep getting here. And then me, because I have no humility, right? I say, I must be doing something wrong. I have to do this differently. If I do it differently, maybe I won't end up in the same place. And I tried everything I could think of, but I never just tried stopping. So I'm happy to report, since I stopped drinking, I haven't been drunk one time.
No, me
not
neither.
a single time.
But it's not easy. But it's easy. It's not easy, but it's easy.
I mean, the answer is really easy. Just don't drink.
It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything. It's
It's
you
actually
save
cheaper.
money. It's cheaper.
Cheaper to not drink.
It's cheaper to not drink. It's cheaper to it's a way better lifestyle. It's just so much easier. I just have to say it's easier. My hair is a little crazy today, but
yeah,
it is.
You know, for people like us, it's the only way to go.
Right.
It's, you know, and
So
it's funny because we are by nature, we're black and white, yes or no, in or out, all or none kind of people. And that's not a good way to live. But in this circumstance, there is no other choice. You're either in or you're out. There's no
halfway.
None at all.
No.
None at all.
So I want to say this to the person who's listening. If you're listening and you saw that the subhead of this title of today's podcast was Step 1.
Was it?
I just decided to change it to that.
Cool.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Step 1. Because our friend Shelly wanted us to talk about taking it slow. Well, we're going to take it slow. We're going to go one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
One step at a time. So if you're listening, that means that you have at least some curiosity that wants to be filled. Like you want to find, you're interested. So you're like, okay, so what is step 1? What does that feel like? Admitting that I'm powerless. Even if you don't do the 12 steps, even if you don't even belong to a 12-step group and you just are interested, it just got you piquing your interest. So step 1, if you're humbling, your humility is obviously there because you're like, I'm humbly going to go look and see what these people are talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you're wondering what unmanageability is, you know, a big part of it is, you know, if what happened to me all the time happens to you, you keep ending up in some place in some circumstances that was not where you wanted to be, and you're confused by how you keep getting there. That's very unmanageable. Very difficult.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Unmanageability. Should we look it up really quick?
If you'd like to.
I'm going to do that too. I like to do this.
Get you a dictionary.
You're going to need to get me a dictionary. I don't want to carry around a big dictionary. I'll just use this. Unmanageability. Here it is. Unmanageability. What does difficult or impossible to manage or control? Unmanageable traffic congestion. Difficult to carry or maneuver. Unwieldy. Unmanageable. So, you know, when your life is unmanageable and you keep realizing every time I pick up a drink, I get drunk or I get myself in some trouble, or every time I've been in trouble, alcohol or drugs are involved, that might be unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
Might be unmanageable. So realizing that you're powerless, I have no control. It's unmanageable because I keep ending up in the same place. And I need a little bit of humility to just ask for some help.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
We got it in a nutshell.
I think you wrapped it up.
We wrapped it up in 30 minutes or less.
There you go.
30 minutes or less. We talked about step 1. If you have any questions, comments, you can reach out to us at Bizzy, B-I-Z-Z-Y, at BizzyLivingSober.com. That's B-U-S-Y. And thanks.
Thank you.
It's fun to have him on. I have to say, I like it. I like it. So until next time, keep getting, I'm going to get him to do this soon. Keep getting
busy living sober.
Busy living sober, busy living sober. Keep getting busy living sober. Till next time. Mwah. Bye, everybody. Reach out. No, you're not alone. Take care. Bye.